Imagine the softest sheets you've ever felt. Now imagine them getting even softer over time. I'm here to tell you about Boll & Branch sheets. In a recent customer survey, 96% replied that Boll & Branch sheets get softer with every wash. They're made from the rarest organic cotton and designed to get even softer over time. Try their sheets with a 30-night guarantee plus 15% off your first order with code Odyssey. So head to BOLLandbranch.com today. Exclusions apply. See site for details.
The following is a GoPowerCat.com and Spirit Street production. You've discovered your link to GoPowerCat.com's PowerCat Questions podcast, presented by Fridge Wholesale Liquor, and it starts right now. Now, let's go to the WTC Gig-Powered Studios. Here's your host, GoPowerCat.com publisher, Tim Fitzgerald.
Welcome to another edition of the PowerCat Questions podcast, the podcast in which you ask us questions and we answer them. But you have to be a member of Go PowerCat. You have to be at Wabash Station to do so. Membership has its privileges. Maybe we should use that as a tagline. Do you think MasterCard would get upset with us?
I was going to say, I thought I heard that before. I couldn't think of what it was. How old is that phrase?
I don't know. Membership has privileges, and we're not MasterCard. GoPowerCat.com.
But please give us your MasterCard.
Yeah, exactly. But you can use a MasterCard at GoPowerCat.com. Tim Fitzgerald. I had to pause there and think about my own name. Riley Gates and Zach Carlson. Your podcast, Musketeers.
You've had better.
I like Musketeers.
Yeah, but that's a three thing. I mean,
there's three of us.
Yeah, but
that was kind of the point, Zach.
I'm saying the phrase Musketeers needs to be with 3 or 4, not podcast.
He just tried saying that you could have 4 Musketeers.
Well, I'm just saying numbers.
There was a sequel that you could have 4.
Yeah.
But we were 3. I didn't think I needed to say it. We are 3.
It's fair.
I thought it was redundant. Your podcast redundant number Musketeers. We're sponsored by The Fridge, and as you know, The Fridge carries a very wide selection of beer. And Kevin, I love you for that. There's a lot of beer people out there. There's an Imperial Stout called Fuzzy Knuckles, which I think's I'm willing to try that just based on the name. Now, one of my favorite beers, we had this discussion that I never drink beer, and one of my favorite beers was Shiner. You recall that on a previous episode. I think it was the Overtime. Shiner has a holiday beer out, Shiner S'more.
Oh, it's a different one.
Yeah, S'more. Made with Texas chocolate. I didn't know that was a thing. Did you know Texas chocolate was a thing?
No.
I mean, it seems odd to brag about it's made with Texas chocolate when nobody goes, man, I get all my best chocolate from Texas.
What makes it Texas chocolate?
It's made in Texas. It's bigger.
Interesting. I thought you were going for the holiday Shiner Cheer.
I had that.
Delicious.
On my visit to the High Low, which is going to be our sponsor apparently in the first half of this podcast because I brought them up. I had that when I went into the High Low Miracle on Morrow pop-up Christmas bar. I had the holiday cheer from Shiner, and it was amazing.
Yeah, it's
I'm not a Christmas beer guy, and that was amazing.
That might be my favorite Christmas beer. That might even beat out the Boulevard ones.
That's what Jess said, the new manager at High Low. She said this, Jess. Our Jess is now the manager at High Low.
Jess still's in town?
Yeah, Jess got married. That's how these things work. Jess married Adam from AJ's Pizza, and now he said, honey, I need you to take over.
I hardly knew her that well, so it's whatever.
But anyhow, yeah, we're just intertwined with the world of Aggieville. But anyhow, yeah, Jess came up with the pop-up bar. And if you haven't been to the High Low, if you're coming to town sometime for a basketball game, you got to stop in the High Low, particularly if you're a Christmas person or your wife is. Make your wife happy by taking her to a bar. And I'm telling you,
it's a win-win.
It's incredible. I'm not exactly a Christmas guy, like, oh, look at the lights. But this is really, I don't want to be the person that undoes the Christmas theme. It's that intense.
Yeah, it's pretty dope.
So, anyhow, the High Low, temporarily known as the Miracle on Morrow, and you can just get OD on Christmas and pizza.
And beer.
They have great Christmas drinks. My wife had one with gin in it, so it really wasn't great. I don't know. Get into the high-low. We're sponsored by The Fridge. They supply all the liquor for the high-low and all of our sponsors. Let's get going, guys. Folks, we've been sitting in this room for about 15 minutes talking about everything but our podcast. Let's podcast. Your questions for Wabash Station. Here's Zach.
Couple things. I didn't list the winner of
My God.
the Iowa State Pick'em.
My God.
And it was our first winner of the year for the Nichols game. Runaway Train is now a 2-time winner as well.
Show off.
You two-time and Runaway Train.
He was 3 points off the final score of 27-17.
Nice.
Then also, I did a bowl matchup prediction thread. And I didn't see this one. I thought nobody won. But apparently someone did win, and they called us way back, December 4th, like 2:08 p.m. Strength coach Mac predicted Liberty Bowl versus Navy. So congrats.
Nailed it. Nailed it.
Is there a K-State strength coach named Mac? Because I think he just outed himself.
Impressive. Quality. Which is going to take us into our first, 6 questions here.
Well, that is like we planned it.
What do you know? From Exhausted Nihilist, will the December 8th Liberty Bowl announcement versus Navy live in infamy in the hearts of K-State fans who feel robbed of a more prestigious bowl location?
No.
Does anybody remember the 2011 season when K-State absolutely 210% should have been in the Sugar Bowl? Then they end up playing in the Cotton Bowl? That was an outcry if I've ever seen one. And yet we don't sit here and be like, oh, do you remember that time when we were supposed to be, nobody looks back at that year and is still mad about it.
So 1998 was Ebola. 2011 was the bubonic plague. This was the flu. And we still were able to say, we're sick all the time. That's what it was. K-State got screwed, but in the big picture of how badly K-State gets screwed in the bowl situation, folks, Riley just took his shirt off, and I wish I was kidding. I don't know what's going on in my studio right now.
Skin was shown.
Trying to take my hoodie off, and it
WTC Gig Pirate Studios just
shirt.
went to 3 megs.
Look, let's get it out.
It's not that big a deal. I just think yeah, they got screwed, but everyone was tied for third. I get it. K-State has the only victory over a playoff team in the entire country. Yeah, I get it, but every bowl had its reasons for taking the teams, except for the Camping World Bowl, which apparently was smoking crack cocaine on that day.
Flat out, number one, K-State absolutely should have been. They should have been strongly considered for the Alamo Bowl based on what they did right there with Oklahoma State, in my opinion. At worst, K-State should have been playing in the Camping World Bowl. I think they deserve to play in one of those 2 bowl games and then potentially tumble into the Texas Bowl. You have every right to be upset about what happened and how it came to be, given that it was Iowa State that ends up taking that spot over. But at the end of the day, it is what it is. You're in a bowl game. You have 8 wins. You have the chance to get to 9. And, I mean, you just got to get behind it at this point,
If you are in Council Bluffs, Cedar Falls, or Davenport, Iowa, and you are an Iowa State fan, make sure you stop into your local Camping World location, because that is the only logical explanation for why they picked Iowa State.
See, I disagree.
Well, Matt Campbell. Everyone thinks he's sexy. It's kind of like Erin Andrews. We all thought she was hot for a while, and then we realized, no, the people that said she was not were right the whole time.
Nah, that's a bad take, Fitz.
What?
Yeah,
that's terrible.
She's not
take.
that hot. No.
You're not that hot.
Well, I know that.
I disagree with that still. This is why, in my opinion, Iowa State was picked, and I think it was because of what they did last year when they went to the Liberty Bowl. They sold that place out. They drank the bars dry. They did Memphis well. And I think that the Camping World Bowl heard how well Iowa State fans traveled. I mean, it wasn't a very long drive for them. Then I think they saw an opportunity to, Matt Campbell to an extent, get him in there. They like Matt Campbell for ESPN. They can talk about all the jobs he is or is not tied to, this and that. They can talk about, Brock Purdy. I mean, there's
some storylines there.
There's a few storylines there, and Iowa State fans showed out well. And that's why K-State fans need to show out well to this bowl game. If you don't want this to happen again, you need to get your butt to Memphis.
That's exactly right.
And you need to fill that stadium and treat the Liberty Bowl like it's the damn national championship.
Well, folks, you need to stop talking about the top 3 crowds to travel across state lines. First of all, it's not true. It was never true. Go get one picture of Wisconsin in the Rose Bowl or Iowa in the Rose Bowl, and you'll know it's not true.
Yeah.
But what K-State did in the heyday was, really impressive. It was exactly what Iowa State's doing right now. So I get it from that standpoint. Plus, Camping World has 3 locations throughout the Iowa area. Get into Camping World if you're an Iowa State fan and make them look like a profitable company.
I didn't even know what Camping World was until this week.
It's the world of camping.
I mean, yeah.
It's like Bass Pro, but camping.
Make sure when you're in, maybe that's what happened, is they sold so much merchandise at Bass Pro last year in Memphis.
They didn't want Iowa State back. They said, we're not stocked up yet.
Well, no. They probably got around the old industry, what Iowa State did at the Bass Pro Shops Pyramid location and with a hotel. They probably... if you're an Iowa State fan, you stayed at the hotel. You mean it's a Bass Pro Shop with a hotel? I don't know why they sound like they're from Oklahoma.
All right, Cephas.
I don't know. That's my one accent that I do on the podcast, and it came out from Iowa State. But anyhow,
hot take: the anger was doubled, if not tripled, because it was Iowa State. If it would have been Texas Tech in this situation that K-State had beaten.
Just the week before, yeah.
If it had been West Virginia that they had beaten the week before and had gone to this bowl game over K-State, they'd be mad. But the fact that it was Iowa State, this new budding rivalry that everybody just wants to jump full on board and hate everybody in. Holy cow, my Twitter mentions were a war zone on Sunday.
I'm going to make a comparison here that I never, ever, ever, ever thought I would do. It's like K-State is Texas and Iowa State is Texas A&M. Like they got that little brother syndrome going with K-State. I never thought K-State would have a little brother. I thought
they do, yeah.
K-State was perpetually the little brother of everyone. And now Iowa State suddenly is it's so exciting. They're so excited about beating K-State out for the bowl game that they forgot. They just got their ass kicked on the football field in the final game of the season by K-State. And they're thumping their chests over owning the series record by one game based on apparently the 1960s or something. I don't know.
My favorite was the K-State is not as good or better than their 8-4 record. Iowa State is better than their 7-5 record. We are a better team than K-State. And someone, I think it was maybe Fake Willie or the Snyder Windbreaker account said like, if only there were an on-field competition to determine something like this. How can you believe that you're actually a better team than K-State this year?
When you just got drilled by them. Not earlier in the season, your last game. The self-awareness or lack thereof is amazing sometimes with Iowa State fans. But God bless them. You got to have one in your conference, and now Iowa State's in full bloom of weirdness.
And speaking of sliding down from, whatever, Alamo, Texas, Camping World, down to the Liberty Bowl, wouldn't you rather be in Memphis than Houston if you were a fan?
Oh, yeah. I would. Houston's
if it came down to Houston, if you really did slip past the Alamo and Camping World Bowl, and it was going to be between the Texas and the Liberty Bowl, if you're a fan,
the Liberty Bowl is only bad because 3-4 years ago, K-State went at 6-6 when they limped into bowl eligibility
and got their butt kicked, and people remember it was cold.
Yeah.
It was a mismatch. It was a miserable season because you were on your 5th quarterback.
But you're right, Zach. You are absolutely right.
Like the stadium's the worst thing about this game.
Now, here's one of the things I appreciate about Iowa State fans. They are fired up. They're 7-5 and going to the Camping World Bowl against Notre Dame. in a season in which they should have been 9 or 10 wins, and yet they still find a way to be fired up about it. Come on, guys. You fell so far short of not just college football's expectations, your own expectations for Matt Campbell's super team, and you won 7 games, and yet you find a way to be, oh, I'm happy. It's like they're a stupid dog. Oh, I'm happy. Oh, it's good. My owner just yelled at me.
Go Irish.
I'm torn about that.
I'm cheering so hard for Notre Dame in that game.
I'm torn about that.
I hope Iowa
you're a
State
Catholic.
I hate Notre Dame. I hope Iowa State gets the you-know-what.
Blasphemy.
It's very confusing. Very confusing. Yeah, I'm torn about it because it would be really good for the conference if Iowa State won, if Baylor won, if Oklahoma won. I don't really care about Texas. It's good for the conference, actually, if Texas loses.
Please stop stepping on questions later in the podcast.
I will stop stepping on questions from later in the podcast. Here's Zach.
From K-Ned, this is more of a statement than a question. Gene sat and waited for the bull phone to ring while Jamie Pollard was busy dialing the bulls. Convince me I'm wrong.
You're wrong.
I don't have enough. There's no evidence of that.
Yeah.
I understand your suspicions. If we later find out that Jamie Pollard promised the Camping World Bowl 15,000 tickets, then maybe. But I would be mad at Gene if he did the same promise because K-State wouldn't sell those tickets. Iowa State might. This, in some ways, folks, this reminds me of when Kansas stole the Orange Bowl from Missouri by promising ticket sales. And they weren't going to sell the tickets. They were essentially paying off the bowl. It really should be illegal. You're literally paying off the bowl.
People went to prison for that. There was a ticket.
That's right.
A ticket scam.
Holy cow! I forgot about
Orange Bowl
that.
tickets were a part of that. I'm pretty sure.
I totally forgot about that. Holy cow!
So, if we find out something fishy went on, I can buy into your argument, but I wouldn't want Gene to do that either. Now, I just think there was a bunch of circumstances in play that worked against K-State, but they always seem to. Now, K-Ned, with that said, I wouldn't mind if Gene got a little more aggressive. He's such a damn nice guy. Oh, darn it. We have a really nice guy as athletics director. However, folks, I bet you the Liberty Bowl was begging for Kansas State. This is who they wanted. They just had Iowa State. They didn't want Texas because nobody would show up. They knew K-State fans would show up in better numbers than probably anyone else other than Iowa State because the Happy Dogs would have gone back to Memphis. Oh, we're back in Memphis. Hey.
I just don't think we have enough evidence unless you straight up ask Gene Taylor, like, how hard did you lobby K-State for the Camping World Bowl?
I didn't. I wanted to go to Memphis to play in my team Navy.
I refuse to buy into the theory that Gene Taylor wanted to go to the Liberty Bowl, so he sat on his hands while the Alamo Bowl and Camping World Bowl all looked for teams. Like, Gene Taylor did what he needed to do, or what he thought he needed to do to get K-State the best bowl. Somebody was going to get the shaft. Oklahoma State's probably the team that should be complaining the most right now. They fell to the Texas Bowl, and they're ranked. Mm-hmm. Tiebreaker would go to Oklahoma State in this conference right now, right?
I agree. No, not in this conference. The tiebreaker always goes to Texas and then Oklahoma.
Yes. My apologies.
And so, you know what? That's a reality of this conference. It just is. The conference gets a lot of benefits from having Texas. If they want to go to the stinking Alamo Bowl and get their butts kicked by Utah, more power to them. They don't really want to go. That's what's funny, is the Alamo Bowls convince themselves that people are going to show up for that game, and they're not. They're not going to make that drive for 90 minutes. They're done with football this season. He fired a bunch of coaches. Texas is done with football, not just the fans. He already moved on to next season by firing coaches. It's crazy. And they get the best bowl game. But they played LSU okay for a while.
But LSU didn't have air conditioning in their locker room.
How about that thing? That's just great.
That's right.
From K-Ned again, how many trips to Orlando would Weefald have made to pitch K-State with a matchup with Notre Dame on the line?
That's a good point.
It would have been a really cool matchup to play Notre Dame, right? I mean,
Great.
that's something that would have been best bowl matchup. Where would that sit, excuse me, in terms of bowl matchups in school history, in terms of just straight up prestigious program? Probably at the top.
Tennessee that year was pretty big. That was when Tennessee football was rolling pretty good.
Hindsight, Syracuse McNabb.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean,
Ohio State.
Drew Brees, Purdue. Like, K-State's bowl history is insane, man.
Oh, my God. Who's the defensive end that Arizona State had that played in the league for a dozen years?
Dang it.
I suck at that.
Just pretend like
I
you're
mean,
saying
it
other
seems
things.
like, and Boston College had someone, too, that year.
Doug Flutie.
I don't think that was it. But it seems like they just run into a dude every year. Well, even the year they played A&M.
Myles Garrett.
They just run into a dude every time, and I don't know.
Ray Rice.
Ray Rice.
Ray Rice at Rutgers.
Ray Rice running against a defense that didn't have the right shoes for a muddy playing field because Ron Prince told Shorty Clenow to leave them at home. They wouldn't need them, and then fired Shorty for leaving them at home. Ron Prince. Horrible human being.
Very interested. It'll be interesting to see how K-State handles this matchup with Navy, because Navy got rocked by Notre Dame. So, hypothetically, if K-State gets rocked by Navy, that might have dodged a bullet. You never know.
I'm the outlier who tends to think that Notre Dame isn't quite as good as everyone always thinks they are. Yeah, they play they play a tough schedule, but is it? Pull up Notre Dame's schedule. Let's review this schedule.
They beat Navy, right?
Yeah, I just said that.
Oh, sorry.
I was like,
This
this is how we got to that.
I apologize. We don't listen to you.
All right, let's see. The Notre Dame Fighting Irish played Louisville at Louisville.
Okay, they were okay.
New Mexico
Didn't know.
at Georgia.
What?
Virginia.
Bad.
Bad, but played for a conference championship.
Bad.
Bowling Green.
Bad.
USC.
Okay.
Michigan at Michigan.
Yeah.
Virginia Tech.
Yeah.
Duke.
Yeah.
Navy. BC. Stanford at Stanford.
Not good this year.
So I'd say that Notre Dame played
They played
three quality teams.
They played a schedule really thick in the middle. They almost played the equivalent of a conference schedule. Right?
Yeah. It would have been a good matchup, I think. And would have been a lot of fun.
From TN Cat, will the Big 12 commissioner ever step up similar to the SEC commissioner and interject on the selection of teams to go to which bowls?
Yeah, I don't think the conference has that kind of power. I don't. I think all these bowls want the SEC, and they'll just take anyone from the SEC because it's for the bowls we're talking about. It's all local for them. It doesn't matter who goes to Memphis. If it's an SEC team, it's local. The entire SEC is within a 5-hour drive, basically. It's just ridiculous.
And do we know that Bob Bowlesby would have said, hey, K-State had a better season, please take them? We don't know that.
No, Bob Bowlesby just doesn't make waves.
Bob Bowlesby, I'm just going to say it, is a bad commissioner. He is so bad. He makes Dan Beebe look like he knew exactly what was going on everywhere.
Here's a hot take, totally off topic. Bob Bowlesby's a peacetime commissioner. Right?
Yeah.
Keep everyone happy.
Absolutely.
But the next round of expansion is going to be wartime. You need to get someone in there ready to wage war. And not say, well, we don't want to do to the Pac-12 what someone did to us. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. You got to go get teams. You've got to survive and advance. Don't get into a scheduling alliance with a conference nobody respects. That's about as dumb as you can do.
Yes.
That.
And that's why I don't think Bob Bowlesby would have gone to bat for any team in a bowl selection process.
No,
he's not here to ruffle up feathers.
I mean, look at the first year of the college football playoff. Here are both of our champions.
Yeah.
Take one.
Ugh.
Or none.
One true
perfect.
champion.
That's perfect. Absolutely.
He's a bad commissioner.
Bad commissioner. Go sit in the corner.
I'm just saying, if you're relying on Bob Bowlesby to get you a better bowl game, you're already starting behind the 8 ball.
Yeah, the conference is going to need to really look at that and consider a real, I don't know.
A war general?
I wonder where we could find one of those.
Yeah, they're going to need to figure out someone that can maneuver this conference into better situations.
Richard Myers for Big 12
I
Commissioner.
personally think Arizona and Arizona State, with the right, and maybe USC, would come.
USC, huh?
They are not happy. USC is the least happy.
I think they would want UCLA too.
UCLA probably wouldn't come.
There's your dilemma.
Well, they can still schedule them.
I guess they're. Yeah.
I mean, it's
Schedule
not like
Notre Dame and UCLA every year. Non-conference.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, I'd love to have UCLA, Arizona State.
How do we get into expansion?
Bob Bowlesby.
Oh, yeah.
He wouldn't fight for bowls.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Next question is from Wildcat Pilot 88. Why emphasize beating a decent non-con team if it doesn't matter? Texas lost to LSU. Iowa State lost to Iowa. Oklahoma State played Oregon State. All received better bowls.
Nobody emphasizes non-con in bowl selection. It's for the college football playoff.
Yeah.
If Baylor had beaten Oklahoma, we would have seen a real dilemma.
Yep.
I mean, honestly, guys, Baylor played a terrible non-conference schedule. They would have had to have gotten in by some people sticking their necks out in that committee room. But the non-conference schedule is not relevant, and it's never been relevant for bowl selection.
Let's take a quick survey. Oklahoma loses to Baylor. Baylor is 11-1 against Oregon. That's 10-2. Both conference champions, and Oregon's other loss is Auburn. I think the committee picks up Oregon.
I don't think they pick Oregon over Baylor. I think they pick Wisconsin over Baylor if Wisconsin would have won.
Well, yeah, they would have, because then they would have included Wisconsin and Ohio State.
I think Oregon's loss to was it Arizona State.
Yeah.
That was damning.
Well, I agree,
And Baylor would have only had a loss to Oklahoma.
But Georgia's loss to South Carolina was more damning, and that didn't seem to affect them one bit. But look at their wins. They lost at home to a 4-8 team.
Yeah.
I don't care about their wins. It's about your complete resume. Well, my resume is really good, except for this one where I got fired because I hit my boss. I mean, come on, the complete resume counts. They lost to South Carolina. South Carolina won one SEC game at Georgia, right? I mean, South Carolina won 4 games, and I think 3 of them were non-conference and lost to Clemson.
You need to keep scheduling one Power 5 in the non-con, because on the weird chance that you're in the college football playoff mix, you're going to need that win. It's going to get you into the picture. I mean, people respected K-State earlier in the season because they played Mississippi State. Nobody would have respected K-State until that Oklahoma game had they not played and beaten Mississippi State. So that's where that's where the importance of a big non-conference game comes in, and you need to keep putting them on the schedule.
From Trevor
What? Is this a new person?
It's new, right?
I've never.
He's
said
been
that
around.
name in my-
He's been around the site for a while, but
Okay.
I don't remember this.
I've never said this name on a podcast. So Trevor Wirt. Trev Ewert? Trev Ewert? I don't know. Let us know. What position group stands to benefit the most from the additional practices?
It's a good question. I think there's a lot of ways you look at it. Offensive line, obviously. Defensive line, obviously.
Offensive line's pretty good. It's not who I'd pick.
I think you would pick linebackers.
Nope.
Okay. I've got some other positions I can guess, or you can tell us.
Nope. You go ahead and guess until you get
Running backs?
Until you get running backs, because there's so many young guys that they might need. I mean, think about it. They wouldn't run the 3-back set unless they had, 3 of 4 guys, which oddly included a freshman in Jackson Eade. But they never ran it, did they? Correct me if I'm wrong, with one of the other freshmen.
Not to my knowledge.
Yeah. So those things I think they can really work on. And, I mean, those guys are going to be front and center next year in this offense. But offensive line's a great pick, too. Although I think there's massive changes in that offensive line coming. It's not going to be ascending up the depth chart. You were the backup last year, as much as people might think.
This is where it gets really interesting to see how Chris Kleiman approaches bowl practices and bowl prep and things like that, because does he look at it like Snyder did, where, oh, yeah, it's nice that we get another game, but this is really for the 2020 team? Or does he look at it and say, we need to win this game. Let's go win this game. Let's practice like it's just another game in the regular season. Because I think obviously it's one of those ones that can kind of go either way. You know, every coach has his own way of looking at it. And if he wants to start building for the future, I mean, you're gonna really work that new offensive line. You're gonna really work those freshman running back. But
Bill Snyder would run a spring practice as bowl practice, beat the crap out of each other to get better for the next season. Hot take. Outside of a few bowl games, Bill Snyder really didn't care about the bowl result. Yeah. He cared about the next season, and that's what he used bowl practices for. So
I would just prefer they focus on this year's team.
I agree.
Win the bowl game.
It's important for the program to win the bowl game and get the 9th win.
I mean, that was one of the things that a lot of people, if you were a KU fan or something, you would throw at Snyder. He can't win the bowl games. I mean, he didn't win tons of bowl games.
He won about a little under 50%.
Yeah. Yeah, and in Snyder 2.0, it was not good.
It was horrible.
So, yeah, at the end of the day, it's just another trophy. You're still going to get the payout regardless, so it's not like losing or winning a bowl game is life and death. But winning a bowl game, going into the next season fresh off a win in a bowl game, feels pretty dang good.
Yeah, that would be really good for this group.
Also would probably earn Chris Kleiman $25,000 because I imagine they'll be ranked if they win this game.
Boom.
From Fervent Purple, give us your thoughts on all of the Big 12's bowl matchups this year.
Well, Oklahoma's going to get routed, I think.
I'm going to say it won't be a rout. It might be a rout at some point in the game, but it will end up being close. Like Oklahoma will, or vice versa. It'll be close for 3 quarters, and then it'll open up. Or it'll seem like a rout, and then Oklahoma will make a run at them in the second half. I think it's going to be a little more competitive.
I don't know if their defense can stop Joe Burrow.
They have an entire 3 weeks to prepare.
I'll say this. LSU is probably looking at it as, we're going to beat Oklahoma. Let's get through it and then worry about Clemson or Ohio.
Right.
Oklahoma's probably saying, we got to focus on this.
Right.
So that could be one.
They're going to go find everything through the season that gave Burrow any possible trouble. They can really dig in and do all of that and find all of those situations and just throw it all at him. And if it doesn't work, go to something else. It's going to be interesting. The thing I like about this matchup is now they have a defense that'll try different looks. Grinch, young defensive coordinators like Hazelton and Grinch, they don't do what they do. Older defense coordinators are like, I blitz, I sit back. They mix it up. They give you different looks. They change right before the snap. That's the new form of defense that kind of troubles some of these offenses. And let me ask you this. What LSU was doing on the offensive side of the ball was somewhat foreign in the SEC. Other teams have done it. Kentucky a little here and there. That is common in the Big 12. Teams have, granted, Grinch wasn't in the Big 12 when that was going on, but that offense isn't radical by Big 12 standards. It's funny how it was trash in the Big 12, and now suddenly it's incredible at LSU. It's so typical of the media outlook on things. The Big 12 starts playing defense, and it's a low-scoring game in the Big 12 title game, and Pat Forty, they got to find someone else because these teams aren't any good. They look at the score. Come on. This is just a tired thing. It's important for Oklahoma to be competitive in this game for the Big 12. It really would say something.
I love Baylor against Georgia.
I do too.
Georgia's not going to give a damn about that game.
And they're going to look past Baylor because it's Baylor.
Yep.
And they're going to run into that defense and say, "Oh crap!"
If you saw what LSU's defense did to Georgia, Baylor's is not as good as LSU's, I don't think, but it's pretty damn good.
And what does Baylor do extremely well? They win low-scoring games.
Everything.
They know how to win close games.
I don't know what to make of Texas and Utah. I really don't. I mean,
Utah.
Full disclosure, Pac-12 championship, first time I've watched Utah all year.
And they didn't look good, man.
They looked so bad.
But you look back over their resume, they really didn't, they didn't beat people.
But does Texas care?
That's exactly.
They're either going to care. Fitz pointed out earlier, they fired coordinators. Andre Coleman's an on-field coach right now.
Well, that's really not caring.
Damn.
I'll say this. If you're the defensive coordinator for this game, you're going to go balls out.
Oh, yeah.
Because you want the job. You may not have a shot at it, but you want this job. And like you said, I didn't spend any time watching Pac-12 football, which is another reason why not to have a scheduling agreement with the Pac-12. But apparently, Oregon mimicked USC's defensive schemes, and Utah cannot handle it. So do that. Just do that, whatever that was. And you've got athletes on defense. You should be able to mimic those things.
I think Texas A&M is bad, and I think Oklahoma State will coast against them. Another team that probably doesn't care about being in that bowl game because Texas A&M thinks it's better than it is for some reason.
They always do.
And as much as I hate to say it, I don't hate Iowa State against Notre Dame because where did we see Brock Purdy do the best? Warm weather games.
Why did he go to Iowa State?
I know. That's what I'm trying to figure out. But Iowa State, for as bad as Iowa State looked in the K-State game, I don't put tons of stock into it. They looked cold for some reason. They're from Ames, and they looked miserably cold.
Well, that's what scares me about Iowa State was it wasn't so much about being cold; they were soft.
Yeah,
they were just soft in that game. They let other things get to them, and Kansas State handled the cold. I mean, freaking Josh Youngblood's from Tampa. Didn't affect him one bit, did it?
So I'd probably take Notre Dame, but I wouldn't be shocked if Iowa State competes in that game.
All right.
I mean, K-State Navy.
Was that it? That was it?
No.
Come on.
That's the end of the question.
Oh, man, I got panicked. I thought we were at the end.
No, we're not at the end.
I didn't think so. Then you just said, all right. Like we were done.
We're done with that question.
You went into a deep analysis of Oklahoma, so it just felt longer.
Yeah.
Okay.
From multiple scoregasms, will you...
Sorry, I just had to let some air out.
Oh, my God.
Sorry. Just breathing.
Yes? Multiple scoregasms?
Is there a question?
Will you be rooting for the Big 12 teams to win their bowl games?
I will root for...
I will be.
It makes me sick to cheer for Oklahoma.
Go Cyclones!
Nah, go Notre Dame.
Go Southern Hemisphere hurricane team that thinks it's a tornado because you're like happy dogs. Oh, it's a tornado. No, it's not. It's a cyclone.
I'll cheer for Oklahoma State. I won't be upset if Oklahoma wins. I'll put it that way. Texas, sure. Stop ruining the Big 12's name. Go win a bowl game.
They did
last year, but
Get
still.
off their case.
And Baylor, yeah, because Georgia... I don't get why Georgia thinks it's better than it is.
I don't know.
Georgia is what it is. It's not the best team in the SEC.
OU, Baylor, Oklahoma State. Those are the teams you're allowed to cheer for.
Why not Texas?
Because Texas is not back.
So because they suck, you can't cheer for them?
Yeah, they shouldn't. They don't deserve to be in the Alamo Bowl. They should suck.
Yeah, it's fair. Texas to the Liberty Bowl.
Please.
Would never happen. 6-6 Texas would have been in the Camping World Bowl.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. No doubt about it.
Last question from Power Cat Ryan of the first half. football is football. A bowl game is a bowl game. Would a 9th win be more important than being a participant in any of the other bowls K-State could have gone to?
Absolutely. K-State would have made roughly $3 million more going to the Alamo Bowl than going to the Liberty Bowl. But there's no dollar amount you could put on it that would make me say
that's where you're wrong. They would have made one more slice of that. The conference shares bowl revenue, except you get a double slice.
They cut it into 12 slices. The conference gets one. You get two. Everybody else gets one. So it doesn't really matter.
The tweet said bowl payouts, so I just assumed.
It doesn't. No, the bowl payouts really don't matter. Doesn't matter. Really doesn't matter. It's about other things. I mean, that's why you're in a conference. You share your TV, you share your bowl, you share these things. It's a hedge against bad times, which apparently at Kansas with football is all the time. I think Kansas should have to repay some bowl money.
That'd be fair.
Yeah.
Pull your weight.
No matter what bowl K-State would have attended, getting the 9th win is the most important thing. Now, getting that 9th win over Notre Dame as opposed to Navy would have been better. Over Utah as opposed to Navy would have been better.
But 9 is 9.
9 is 9. Which is confusing because if you're German, 9 is none.
Oh, my God.
No. 9! We'll be back in the second half of the PowerCat podcast.
Stay locked in. The PowerCat podcast will be right back.
The NFL regular season is wrapping up, but there's still time to get in on the action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place a $5 bet. That's $150 in bonus bets, win or lose. The app is so easy to use, and there are so many different ways to bet, like live same-game parlays. Find bets in the new Explore tab. Make a parlay in the Parlay Hub, the best way to find popular parlays, and more. So visit FanDuel.com/247 and make your first bet a layup. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL.
Must be 21 plus and present in Arizona, Colorado, Connecticut, Iowa, Illinois, Indiana, Kansas, Kentucky, Louisiana, permitted parishes only, Massachusetts, Maryland, Michigan, New Jersey, New York, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Virginia, West Virginia, or Wyoming. FanDuel is offering online sports wagering in Kansas under an agreement with Kansas Star Casino, LLC. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit fanduel.com/RG in Colorado, Iowa, Michigan, New Jersey, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Illinois, Kentucky, Tennessee, and Virginia. Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP or text NEXT-STEP to 53342 in Arizona, 1-888-789-7777, or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut, 1-800-9-WITH-IT in Indiana, 1-800-522-4700, or visit ksgamblinghelp.com in Kansas, 1-877-770-STOP in Louisiana. Visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Visit 1-800-GAMBLER.net in West Virginia, or call 1-800-522-4700 in Wyoming. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts, or call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York, or visit oasas.ny.gov/gambling. Standard text messaging rates apply. Sports betting is void in Georgia, Hawaii, Utah, and other states where prohibited.
With Blue Link Plus, you can access your Hyundai Tucson Limited remotely. Doors unlocked, temperature set, lost car found.
There it is.
Get complimentary class-leading Blue Link Plus. Call 562-314-4603 for complete details.
We now send it back to Fitz in the WTC gig-powered studios.
Welcome back to the PowerCat podcast. I would like to apologize for everything I said in the first half, including picking Iowa State, which was greatly offensive to everyone outside of Iowa. Well, half of Iowa. The other half, mostly the eastern half of Iowa, celebrated. No, that's not right. The western, I don't know. I got confused. But anyhow, I apologize.
What are they celebrating? What?
That I guess it'd be the western half celebrated the fact that I picked Iowa State. The eastern half, being Hawkeye Nation, would be offended by it. I got lost.
Who do you think hates Iowa State more, K-State fans or Iowa fans?
Iowa.
Probably.
You have to put up with them all the time.
Yeah.
We're sponsored by The Fridge. Currently at The Fridge, they have... Man, I want to name beers. I used to want to name colors, but now I want to name beers. Without a Doubt Stout is available from a Wichita Brewing Company. Wichita
Brewing Company or the Wichita Brewing Company?
I think it's Wichita Brewing Company.
Yeah.
It's WPZ, BC. On the
I was like, no, okay, then it's not.
And New Belgium has Voodoo Ranger American Haze, an IPA. Yet another IPA.
Voodoo Ranger American Haze? That sounds like they grabbed a bunch of words out of a bag.
What IPAs do you have on tap?
What do we got here? A double India Pale Ale. Awesomeness Batch number 5.
Ooh.
It's not an Indiana Pale Ale?
No, those suck.
You suck.
Those are only available during basketball season.
Are they striped?
Yeah, they're striped. All cans must be striped from Indiana Pale Ale Brewing Companies. The second half today is sponsored by The Fridge. Oh, jeez. It's sponsored by, I'm so off my game, sponsored by Tanner's. We ate lunch at Tanner's yesterday. I took the Insiders podcast, minus Kellis, who
bailed.
Oh, I got a wife and kids.
Oh, I got other work to do. That's pretty good impression.
That was great, Kellis, I thought.
That really was good. I took them to Tanner's to eat, and everyone loved it.
I did not eat. I drank a beverage.
You had a brew.
I did.
That's very nice.
Because I had done a lot of work that day, and I deserved it.
Our friend Ryan Black also had a brew.
Yeah, and then he acted like he didn't know he was getting a beer. Like, he ordered a beer, they brought the beer, and like 5 minutes later, he was sitting there like, oh, is this mine? And I'm like, who else's would it be?
Ryan's at the end of the table. The beer's in the middle of the table. Across from me is D. Scott Fritchen, who doesn't drink, and that's well established. And me, who I just discussed with Ryan, I'm on antibiotics where I cannot drink until next weekend or this upcoming weekend. Ryan, yeah, it's your beer, man.
I think he thought we were all getting one, and then he was slightly embarrassed by the fact that he got one.
Oh, I don't care. Nobody judges you, Ryan. Well, other than the Southern thing.
Yeah, that we do judge you for.
Man, dude. So anyhow, get into Tanner's. All their alcohol comes from the fridge. So if you buy from the fridge or you go to the High-Low or Tanner's, it's the fridge in your tummy.
I just remembered. I had Tanner's on Saturday before the game. It's been a long weekend, so I forgot that I had eaten it. Steak Philly was one of the better ones I've ever had. And I think they've added a little bit more spice to the sauce you dip your onion rings in, whatever that's called.
I never liked that sauce. I kind of It's not their sauce. It's just all those sauces.
I like that, and I think that they've made it a little bit more with a kick, and I kind of like it. So I suggest it.
That's at Tanner's at the corner of Morrow and 12th. I got it.
Not like it matters. You can get Morrow and 12th, but you can't get Claflin and Westport, which you've been saying for years.
Can't you say 12th and Morrow? It sounds better with the number in front.
Yeah, but 12th's all blocked off now, so.
I know. You can't really use 12th. Thank you, City of Manhattan, for putting in a corporate hotel. Anyhow, here's your questions from Wabash Station. This is the Questions Podcast, and Zach reads the questions. That's how this thing works.
From KSU number 1, how excited are you to get Navy?
I'm happy it's a new matchup.
I'm buying everyone Old Navy outfits for the game. We're all going to go.
Are we going to wear 4th of July flag shirts?
Yeah.
This is a working press box. Any cheering of any kind will not be tolerated.
We bought our entire outfits at Old Navy.
I'm happy that
Painter's jeans.
God, that'd be funny, actually.
I'm happy they're not playing Texas A&M. I'm happy they're not playing Tennessee. Oh, Tennessee would have been kind of
Tennessee
cool.
would have been fine.
Arkansas. It's cool to play a new team. So and not just like, oh, we're playing the 6th best team in the SEC. Like, oh wow, we're kind of playing a little bit of an outlier of a team. That's kind of what you get to say now, you know?
It's an unknown.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, the great thing about academies is they're not Power 5, but they kind of count. They kind of count. Yeah, they kind of do. If you schedule them, they kind of like Notre Dame and BYU.
Army and Navy, yes. Air Force,
not
no.
so much.
Air Force is I shouldn't say that. That sounds bad. Air Force's football success is kind of a joke.
And I feel
I'll put it that way.
I feel like Navy is definitely the best academy.
Yeah,
by far.
Army went on a little stretch there, but it wasn't sustained. So,
Okay, whatever. You guys don't like the Army.
yes, we hate the troops.
We don't like our armed forces,
I'll
except the
notify
ones in the
Fort Riley.
water.
I'll notify Fort Riley.
Like I said, I think it's also really cool that it's a different like style, you know, as football is evolving, and we'll get into this here in a second, but as football is evolving into air raid, throw it 50 times a game, now you're facing a team that wants to run the ball literally every play. So it's cool.
Great.
Yeah, we're gonna be out there so quick. Anybody want to get a beer on Beale Street at 4 p.m.?
It's a 2:30 kick, right?
Yeah.
Let's really stop at
2:45.
2:45, okay.
So
3 o'clock, because that in for the Scotty McCreery halftime extravaganza.
And something tells me the national anthem with Navy is going to be like I feel like they'll add more to it. Because you're playing an
No,
armed
they're still going to fly a FedEx plane over as a flyover. Come on.
That would be awesome. Fly the FedEx plane.
737.
And then,
It was bigger, but
a World War II aircraft carrier plane shoots down the FedEx plane.
No.
Okay, I'm really not good at this. They've already picked who's singing the anthem, haven't they?
I
sure
couldn't tell you who it was.
Anyhow, so let's say 3 o'clock. The game will last.
An hour and a half.
We will be done by 9 o'clock with work.
Oh, I hope to be done before.
I'm just saying by 9 o'clock
Yeah.
we'll be done. I hope to be done earlier than that too.
Yeah, I hope.
On a normal game, if we crank it out. Yeah. Okay, I guess I don't know about you guys, but
I should be done by 9. Able to do other things as well. More content for tomorrow. The tomorrow being the day after that. I was looking on their site. I can't find anything about the national anthem, but if I find it, I will let you know.
We will be podcasting from Memphis. Yes, I am going to the bowl game. I am leaving my house.
Nice.
I figure if I can go to Vegas for a basketball game, I can drive to Memphis with my coworkers and cover the bowl game.
I'm just thankful that you get to drive a lot.
I thought you would be.
He acts like I never I'm more than happy to drive.
Oh, it's not about your willingness.
I do fine. Ask D. Scott Fritchen who he's more comfortable with behind the wheel. Also, I drove 9 over the speed limit last time, and Zach thought I was going slow.
You weren't going 9 over.
I was. I was going 84 and a 75.
Okay, if we're going to discuss this stuff, I'm just thankful that Brett Regan is not going. Brett, bless his heart, was a very safe driver in terms of accidents and things, but Brett did not believe in cruise control, or does not believe in cruise control. So you would be going 85 and then 65.
Eesh.
He was that guy.
The worst.
That would clog up traffic by going fast and then slowing down next to a car that he was supposedly passing because he lost focus. I don't know how you can drive without cruise control. I mean, you've got it. I'll give him credit. He had mad ankle muscles. I mean, he was ripped in the ankle because that gets tiring.
Doesn't he have a metal rod down one of his legs?
Oh, that's right. He was cheating. He was like Lance Armstrong with a... Never mind.
Yeah, always willing to help drive, but...
Power nut.
Just move on.
I just went there anyhow. Here's your question, Small Bass Station.
We just asked a question!
I'm sorry. I'm on heavy antibiotics. I'm kind of out of my mind.
From Purple Powerhouse, what's your way too early scouting report on Navy? Are they still running that primarily option offense?
Run, and then they'll run the ball some more. And yes, they do run the option.
Yeah.
That's what they do. That's what they've always done.
Assignment football. As I said on the Insiders, and I want to get an answer from you guys, if you're Chris Kleiman, are you upset you go against a primarily running team with a defense that hasn't tackled well, or are you happy that you get to spend your entire bowl prep on tackling?
I think you'd have to be excited about the fact that really you shut down one part or find a way to contain the option, you're going to win. I mean, you don't have to worry about their passing attack.
They'll sink it in on you.
They'll throw the ball some, but like it's not like you have to be like, oh, we got to worry about this receiver and that receiver and
I'd probably run a flea flicker if I was them, because that has worked twice now against K-State.
Yeah. Is a triple option offense equipped to run?
Oh, yeah. You got a receiver out there.
So I'm just saying it's going to be, I mean, they lead the nation in rushing yards. I mean, they are over 350 rushing yards per game. They are going to continue. Zach, bless you.
Zach moved away from the mic and still power sneezed.
So sorry.
It's going to be, we joke about the game time, but I mean, honestly, it's going to be on the ground more often than not, and the only time that the clock's going to stop is timeouts. So get ready to watch a heavy run game.
Well, I don't know if it'll be heavy. They'll probably be very athletic people. Well, it's not like I'm going to be running the ball.
Anyways.
Now here's your questions from Wabash Station.
Goodness, we can't do this after each time. From Fervent Purple, why is Navy ranked? They got boat raced by Notre Dame, but the rest of their whole schedule reminds me of our non-con.
Why do you like communism so much? Question person.
Why do you hate the troops? Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah. Why do you hate America?
I mean,
slamming on the Naval Academy forces peoples.
He makes a bit of a point. They haven't played the greatest of schedules, but they did play Memphis, who is New Year's Six, correct? I think, yeah. Mm-hmm. They're in the New Year's Six Bowl. They played Notre Dame, like he mentioned. They played SMU, who I think was undefeated at the time. Yeah, so they played some good teams.
They're in a Power 6 conference.
They're a Power 5 team, according to Fitz.
They have an asterisk next to them.
I mean, and they're a good team. At the end of the day, it does come down to numbers and eye tests and things like that. And you can't ignore the fact that they do lead the nation in rushing at over 350 yards a game. Like, that's impressive. It's not like teams face them and they're like, oh, they run the triple option, we have to let them run some. Like, no, teams try to shut it down, and they can't. So Navy's a very good football team, and it's very impressive to see what they've done, considering the fact that they went 3-9 a year ago, or 2-10. No, 3-9. They went 3-9 last year, and now they're top 25 team. I think this is two very equal teams. I think K-State. I don't think there's much difference in terms of overall quality of the two teams in this game. And K-State, as we know, is number 28 in the country right now, unofficially. So I think if you're complaining about Navy being ranked, it's kind of like complaining about K-State almost being ranked at 8-4.
Man, I hope that answered your question, Joseph Stalin. Hey, I had something else. Hey, you have a favorite phrase, and I want to know if it's possible, if K-State wins by like 21 points, that you will say K-State boat race Navy. Is that going to work? Is that possible?
I use boat raced frequently in high school. I used curb stomp a lot, and then kind of learned the history and was like, probably shouldn't use that one as much. But if they curb stomp Navy, I'll use that.
Funny they lost boat race to a team that has boats.
Oh, this is going to be so bad. Fitz is going to make a lot of Navy jokes.
I will not.
At the expense of our armed forces, Fitz is going to make a bunch of jokes about the Naval Academy.
I won't do that. But I will demand everyone calls me Admiral the entire time I'm in Memphis. I'm going to have, because I'll have the sailor hat.
Okay. We'll count on that. Amazon Prime you one right now.
Oh my God, guys, this podcast is falling apart because Fitz is losing it, man.
It's like he's on nitrous at the dentist.
Oh, Lord. Oh. Here we go.
Another new member, welcome, Jay Rydell. Does Navy facing off against Army this Saturday give any advantage in the slightest to K-State? Does it give more time for us to game plan than them?
I don't think it's an advantage in terms of like, oh, wow, K-State's at a huge advantage because Navy's going to watch a you-know-what ton of K-State film. K-State's going to watch a you-know-what ton of Navy film.
Well, I think it cuts a week out of Navy's prep because you don't want to lose this game.
Question, is less prep sometimes more beneficial?
That's probably true. I don't think it really helps K-State's prep. I mean, they'll study all the other games and they'll get to this game and they'll watch it. Maybe it'll help the players because you get it. Ryan Black made a great suggestion. I hope they watch it together, the Army-Navy game. I think that'd be kind of cool. I know it'll help the fans and people like us prep to get a live game in and be able to sit there and watch a game. You can go back and watch old games, but there's something about, for the half-ass way I prepare, to really see the game and have a feel for it, to see it as it unfolds.
I compare it a lot to the Colgate South Dakota State. They played South Dakota State in the FC. Yeah. The Colgate, the South Dakota State, and then the Eastern Washington game last year in the FCS playoffs when you're trying to figure out about Chris Kleiman and the offense and things like that. Yes, you can watch it on film all you want. You can rewatch things. You can read up on things. But watching it live as it's happening is a different feel to it. You're like, okay, this is game full. I don't know what's going to happen. How are they going to respond to this?
And I think that's for a really, really good reason. We're not trained coaches.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're a coach like my dad was, you can sit there and watch game film and dissect it kind of like, I don't know, just watching anything from a scientific standpoint that, you know, you can just really analyze and break down. Folks, I have now received my third spam call on my phone in the last, 5-10 minutes?
Yeah.
5 minutes.
There might have even been another one that you didn't even acknowledge that popped up.
This one's from Delaware. Oh, my God. Howard Richmond, Delaware is calling me. That's an inside joke.
I think it's most notable that it's also the Army-Navy game. And, like, this is going to be the game where they stick, what they do is what they do. They're not going to have, throw any weird twists in. It's not like playing Notre Dame or Houston or whatever, where they kind of have to adapt, into something crazy the other team's doing. You're going to see what they do best. They're going to bring forward their typical game plan. You're going to see them try to execute that. So I think it's really cool that it's the Army-Navy game and not Navy somebody else. Also, Army-Navy game is one that I've always seen on TV, been like, oh, I want to watch it. And then I'm like, do I really want to watch it? I mean, I really don't usually. Yeah, it's cool because it's the Naval Academy and Army, but like, I never had much interest in it. Now I actually have a reason to watch it.
If I'm Coast Guard, I want a team.
They have a Division III team.
I know, but I want a big-time team.
Oh, I didn't know
There's
that.
a Coast Guard Academy.
Interesting.
Then we have a game every year with Air Force, and it's in Memphis because it's like Philadelphia with the old Liberty Bell thing.
Sure.
It's entirely possible I had a stroke during this half of the podcast. Yeah.
From PowerCat Ryan, I am ready for some more Army patches on helmets and jerseys. What's your best idea to incorporate some Go Army Beat Navy for our Fort Riley neighbors?
I love it. That's a great idea.
Oh, you do?
I love it.
I hate it.
I don't like
All
it.
due respect to Fort Riley, the Big Red One, whatever. If K-State tries to incorporate Fort Riley at all into this, I hate everything about it.
It's fine. Doing a Fort Riley day, doing a camo thing, fine by itself. But if you're playing an academy, people that are literal members of our armed forces and playing dress up,
Yeah, that's not your thing.
That is
not your thing.
That is not cool.
Okay, I agree with you.
That is, you are a poser.
Yeah, and it'd be one thing if K-State week in, week out was like, okay, we're gonna make Fort Riley like it's right here. This is part of our program weekly.
If it was on the uniform all year long, I agree.
But I don't want to see K-State try to be like, yeah, that's like Okay, that's like a white guy and a black guy like meeting, and they're like, "Oh yes, I have black friends." You know, like, "Oh yes, let's communicate better because we have this similarity." Like, it's about the same thing right there.
I met a black guy once.
Yeah, like, come on, man, we get it. We all respect the armed forces. You don't have to prove that you love the armed forces to me. Like, don't do it. I hate it. Somebody posted It was somebody broke out like these black uniforms, the big red one. Apparently, someone wore them against Navy or something like that.
Army did.
It was Army?
Yeah.
Army wore them against.
It was like a couple years
Okay,
ago.
I didn't know if it was a different school.
No, it was Army. It was real.
In no way, shape, or form should K-State even attempt that.
Now, if it was like the military bowl or armed forces bowl, maybe.
Maybe slap the big red one onto the helmet.
No, not even that. Wear the camo helmets or something.
Yeah, like
Not.
don't go all out on
Do
it.
we know if K-State's visitors are home?
I imagine
We need
they'll
to-
be the visitors.
We need to check on this because I suspect they'll wear the all whites.
Unless Navy loses to Army and falls out of the rankings, but even then
That
they'd be
doesn't matter.
9-3.
That doesn't matter. The bowls just rotate.
Oh, I thought they went.
What were they last year?
I don't know. So we'd have to check.
But 4 years ago, K-State was the home team.
Okay,
Yes, they
so
were.
that was
15 season.
15 season, so they'd be the home team technically.
So are
If
you
they
saying the
alternate.
Liberty Bowl alternates or
Yes.
Yeah.
Iowa State was the away team last year?
Yep.
So K-State would likely be the home team.
Well, I mean,
Dear Kansas State, please request to be the road team so we can wear the all
Well,
whites.
they could be the home team and wear the whites.
Oh, okay. Well, in that case, I don't know that Iowa State was the.
No, that's probably it.
And they were playing Memphis.
Well, in 2006, K-State was the home team and wore white against Rutgers.
Yes, this is correct.
You are so smart.
Thanks, Vince.
I just want to see them wear the all whites. Please. Please.
Which helmet?
The white with the purple power cat.
Yeah. Yeah.
Although I'd be okay with the script.
Oh, man. Here we go. We're back at it. No, I think that they have been planning to do that. White pants, white jerseys, white helmet with the purple power cat.
They should just make it Wildcats and have some lavender accents, and it's the basketball team.
Take the basketball uniform and put it on a football uniform.
God, I love those uniforms.
Those are sick.
Those better be the home uniform from here on out.
It won't be.
I know.
They should swap out the old Wildcat for a Power Cat,
Yes.
and it'd be fine.
Agreed.
Be fine.
That'd be great.
Another new member, Rockcat78. Welcome to the podcast. What are the chances that form tackling is the primary focus of every defensive practice? That is my biggest concern.
I will admit, it's a concern. Because early on, you were like, oh, wow, they can't tackle. And they're like, yep, we need to address that. We'll get it taken care of. And then you got halfway through the season, and you were like, oh, man, they still need to tackle.
They got better, and I feel like they got better because of the off weeks. It's hard to get better at that during game weeks.
Yeah.
Because as Chris Kleiman said, you are limited in your contact. And it's hard to practice tackling in the current environment of college football in which practicing is not allowed, which is basically the truth. I mean, Bill Snyder would have never been able to turn around this program under these current rules because they practice and practice and practice and hit and hit and hit. And now you can only do so much of that. That gets loosened up here during bowl prep, and they'll be able to work on tackling. It is a concern.
It's a concern, but it's not something that I think they'll be fully prepared to form tackle for the triple option, all that kind of stuff.
Another new member, Claws Out, Balls Out.
I love that name, by the way. Favorite name on the website now. Love it.
Like White Claw?
No law,
No laws on the claw?
No law claw. That'd be a good one.
Yeah. Anyway, they ask, when was the last time our defense played three linebackers and loaded the box the whole game? They think that this should be a good game to use Jonathan Alexander.
I mean, they've never faced a heavy run team like this.
No, you don't see this.
This is incredible. Like, somebody asked also, is like, what Big 12 team does Navy compare to? Nobody.
No one.
Nobody does this.
They compare it to Army and Air Force. That's it.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anyone else running this. I mean, Georgia Tech ran it under Paul Johnson.
And he's gone.
Georgia Southern ran it under Jeff Monken.
Who's at Army?
Who's at Army. So, yeah, I don't know that anyone is out there running it. Imagine trying to hire a coach at one of these schools because you are limited so much in who you can hire because only so many people run an offense. And they have to run this offense because they don't get the big physical linemen. I mean, let's be honest. I don't want a 6'6", 330-pound left tackle in the Naval Academy. I don't want him sinking boats. Let's be honest. I mean, there's restrictions to those things. The only reason Navy ever had David Robinson in basketball is he grew like 6-8 inches after he went to the academy.
David Robinson ever serve?
I think he got a waiver.
Not to...
Because he was like a walking advertisement for the academy.
Not to, like, stray from that question a lot, but, like, that would be so tough in recruiting. You're like, hey, come play for Navy, come play for Army. Oh, but you have to enlist.
You do not enlist, you're an officer.
Well,
so it's a career. You move right into your career and you get training. I don't think it would
I
be
don't know
hard.
what the technical name is.
I don't think it would be hard because of the type of kids they're recruiting. You know, you have to be academically... Yeah.
Right, but I mean, there's plenty of kids. I mean, you could probably rattle off some kids like K-State that could make it academically at Navy or Army,
right? But
might not want to be in that. I don't even know what word to use.
Structure
realm. You know,
I would say probably the opposite. I think kids that gravitate towards football. I mean, I've spoken to guys like Ben Lieber about how when you're in a football program, even if it's NFL, everything's structured. Hey, we're going to feed you then. We're going to do this. You don't have to worry about anything. So there's some real similarities there. We did wander off. But I do admire their ability to recruit people that fit the criteria of an academy and can still ball. It's pretty impressive. And that's why they have to run these offenses because it gets you by on discipline and trickeration.
Okay.
Like it.
That's a word.
Yeah, I made that up. That's all mine. I just made it up right here.
We've got basketball questions to end the second half.
Oh, boy. Here we go.
From K-Ned. Is McCall Meween leading the nation in fouling distance from the basket? He likes rebound fouls 80 feet from the hole.
It's mind-numbing at this point. And it's what he is. This is not a one-time thing. This is not a phase.
Has Mac regressed?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or has he just been exposed more without Dean Wade there to help him? I think we got in this argument last time, but I never thought he was this go-to guy on the post. I was crucified last year.
Sorry.
Absolutely crucified for saying that McCall Meween was not this elite big man. I'm sorry, I've never bought into it.
Me neither.
And I didn't understand why a couple hit performances against KU and hell, I can't even remember who else he did it against. That's how forgettable it was. He is what he is. He's a nice body to have down there, but he can't catch the ball half the time. He's better at the jump shot than he is on the block, and he's iffy on free throws. And he picks up a lot of stupid fouls. Move him to the bench already. I'm over it. Oh, you can't do it yet. Got to get Montavious back. But once Montavious gets back, move him to the bench.
I'm all for it.
But he never will, though.
Nope.
Bruce, as we know, very loyal.
Mm-hmm.
From ContraCat, while basketball isn't at Tom Asbury levels of misery, what is the best one way to get through this year without breaking my keyboard? He gives 4 options. A, root for the freshmen. B, root for the point guards. C, root for chaos. Or D, root for effort.
Chaos is kind of fun. A and D. Number one, the only reason we aren't sitting here blowing up every time they play bad, we aren't being incredibly critical and very harsh, is because we knew this was going to happen. We told you.
And I got called names for telling you.
Yeah.
Bruce hits the reset every 3-4 years. That's his program. And if that's all right with you as a fan base, then okay. This is it. You don't get to say, oh, no, he doesn't, and then when he does, complain. I mean, come on, people. It's obvious they were going to reset this year, but those freshmen are very promising.
We knew this was coming. We knew it was going to be a rebuild. I'm not saying that's okay. I'm not accepting the fact that they're still bad. You know, if they go get waxed by Mississippi State on Saturday, That it's not like you can just go, well, they're young. Well, they're inexperienced, because this is not the rebuild of Barry Brown, because this team still has Xavier Sneed, McCall Mayween, Cartier Jada, who I was told by many people was a first-team All-Big 12 player after what he did last year.
I know. There was a lot of people that view this team with purple glasses.
Yep.
Really bad.
The Big 12 championship did that to them.
I just come back to this. We don't dislike Mike McGurl. But if you stop and look at it, you put Cartier in the lineup for Kamau Stokes, which happened at times, and the team didn't really regress when that happened that much, or if at all. But you did replace Barry Brown with Mike McGurl. Yeah. You did replace Dean Wade with a freshman. Good Dean, that doesn't work. Bad Dean, you're better off with these freshmen. Unpopular take, but think about when Dean would disappear. At least these guys play extremely hard. Max regressed. Xavier's trying his heart out, but he's not a lead guy. Neither one of these guys, Cardi or Xavier, are lead guys. They just aren't.
And that's what brings me to D, option D of his list there. Cheer for effort.
Because that's a freshman too.
Bad. They played a bad game against Marquette.
But they busted ass.
I didn't walk away from Marquette going, wow, that was a pathetic performance. I walked away from Marquette going, that went exactly like how I thought it was going to. Actually, better than I thought it was going to.
It was better than I thought.
Because I thought that they played the best defense that I've seen them play in recent years. I mean, not the number one. One of the best defensive performances in recent years against Marcus Howard. And that was without a guy like Barry Brown.
And that was putting a freshman on him.
Yeah.
In critical times.
So they looked competitive. They looked like they cared. Now, I'm not saying that's going to carry over. If they start 0-5 in conference play and they got to go to Lawrence or whatever, wherever, that's not the schedule, but yeah, it might get to be a lot at times. They might wear down. But if they keep bringing effort, the freshmen look promising, I'm not going to be overly mad. I'm just because I knew this was exactly what was coming.
Here's my thing is at some point in the season, if things aren't going well, you have to just put the freshmen in sink or swim positions. Just go get better, learn from this, get your teeth kicked in so you can be better as sophomores and juniors. But Bruce is so loyal, he won't do that to his upperclassmen. He'll let them play out the string, and it's just not in the best interest of the program, but it is because Bruce is just a really, really, really good guy. Yeah. And sometimes as a head coach, you don't get to be a good guy. You got to say, hey, the program comes first, not the kids in the program when they're not performing.
For Mountain Joe, from what you have seen, do we even make the NIT?
No, I don't think so. They're going to have to really make a push in the Big 12.
The NIT is so weird, though, because the NIT will take a team if they have an exciting player or something like that, Like if somebody turns it on in conference play.
Yeah. Who's that going to be?
Yeah, I know.
It could be. I mean, there could be someone, but you got to get over 500.
Yeah.
Folks, I just want this team to get over 500. I'm not worried about NIT, CBI, bringing back the Vegas 8, any of that.
God, what a great... No, the Vegas 16.
Well, it became the Vegas 8 because nobody wanted to go to it.
And then they played it in Charlotte or something, right?
No.
Did that conspiracy theory, was that true that K-State killed the Vegas 16?
I think it was true.
I think it was too.
As you kind of know, I had a bond with whoever runs the Vegas Ocho account.
That would have been fun.
As soon as K-State said, no, we're not going to play in the postseason, everyone else said, no, we're not going to go play in that thing.
That would have been cool.
It's more viable than that stupid CB whatever.
Look, the way I'm looking at
CBI. It sounds like a freaking electrician school.
The way you got to look at it is this. K-State's best win right now is over UNLV, who's like 179 in KenPom. Now, KenPom's not going to matter here in a few weeks. Whenever they release the net, things are going to change.
Right.
But they don't have a quality win yet. I don't know if they can beat Mississippi State. And St. Louis, the Saturday after that, is not a quality win. They're not going to have a non-conference quality win. They're just not.
No.
They're going to have to go beat KU or knock off Baylor or whoever it is at the top, make some noise in conference play because they have not done that in the non-conference schedule. I think if they lose to Mississippi State on Saturday, just write the NCAA tournament completely off. I mean, it's as sad as it is to say, it'll be over 10 games in, unless you win the Big 12 tournament, which is a joke still, but whatever. And again, the NIT is up in the air, but I just don't feel good about it right now. Even the NIT has some standards, and 0 quality non-con wins does not meet that standard.
It's entirely possible that they, my God, what are they, 5-3 right now?
Yep.
1, 2, that they come out of, they've only got 4 non-conference games left. Well, then
did you count Bama?
No, I did not. Man, it's
over almost.
It's possible they go 6-6 in the non-con.
Ugh. No, I don't think they're going to lose St. Louis, but yeah,
Mississippi State, Bama.
Oh, St. Louis 8-1.
St. Louis, Tulsa, who knows? I'm just saying it's possible. 7-5 even. Is this team going to go 9-9 in the conference?
No, sir.
Well, then you answered your question. I mean, if you think they're going to go 8-10 in the conference, then they're not going to get in the NIT unless they make a run in Kansas City, which I don't see. I don't see any way they go 8-10 in this conference. Right now, as I sit here, I would take 6-12. I would. The way this team's played, they can't make free throws. That's not about being young. That's not about anything other than they're not good. If you can't make free throws, you can't shoot the ball, man. Until they fix whatever is going on between their ears, they're not going to beat people. Good teams have to hit free throws to win some games. Bad teams missing free throws means they're a really bad team. Think about it. They go 6-12 in the conference. You're talking about a 13-win season. You have to really ask yourself, the team you've seen, will they go 8-10 or better in the Big 12? And I don't see any way that's going to happen. As I sit here right now, maybe the freshmen will take off. We're very optimistic about them. Maybe Dejuan turns into a scoring machine. Murphy comes back. He starts stroking it. Gordon finds his niche, which hopefully is in the low post and with Mauine on the bench. And maybe they start clicking off some wins because they go young. But I think they kind of are what they are. And as they get into the Big 12, they're going to lose a bunch of games. They'll play hard. Bruce will get them to play hard. Bruce can coach. He can, on the floor, he can put together a team. Not so much in the locker room. And that's really where Barry Brown's missed the most. He's missed on the floor, but he's missed in that locker room a ton. We'll see. I thought at best they'd be a bubble team, and now I feel like that was an outlandish wish.
Last question of the podcast from Jim Cat. Will the basketball team have more conference wins than the football team?
Right there. Literally right there.
Over under 5.5.
Wow.
I think you got to take the over at 5.5 but here's the thing. I look at this team and I say, I can see them pulling 6 wins off. I don't know who it's against. I'm not saying that they're going to be better than 6 teams. I'm saying this team is going to find a way to beat somebody they absolutely have no business beating.
Absolutely, they will. They will.
It happened. That one team, that awful team in 2015-16 beat number 1 Oklahoma, and they were bad. So they're going to beat somebody that they shouldn't. They're not going to go winless at Bramlage. I want to say that they will get to 6 wins at least. But if you ask me who they're going to beat, I can't tell you because TCU is the only team I look at right now and say, yeah, I think they compare relatively well. Even West Virginia has added an insane amount of talent this year. West Virginia is a good basketball team. Kansas is a great basketball team. Baylor is a great basketball team. This is a good conference again this year. Even Texas looks like they're meeting expectations finally.
Oklahoma State? OU?
Got ran by Wichita State.
Sure
oh, my God.
Sure did.
They were looking so good. So I think they'll get... if you made me bet today, yeah, I'd say over 5.5.
Are they going to get 6 wins? I would bet yes.
But if you told me, fast forward, they finished 4-14, I wouldn't go, wow, what happened? I would be like, well, that sounds about right.
Doesn't surprise me.
It's a very confusing team to figure out.
We talked about doing a post-game basketball podcast, and we've abandoned that idea for one reason. First of all, well, for two reasons. First of all, you won't listen to it. I mean, you just won't. Even in, with a victory, the numbers wouldn't be like a football game because it's football. I mean, it's a weekly event, not just, one of a couple games in a week. The other being, if we talk realistic about basketball, some of you decide we hate everything about the basketball team, and that's just not true. It never has been true. So we just decided to pass on that, and we'll find other ways to fill the podcast schedule. Man, I really hope the microphones pick that up. If the microphones pick that up, I'm turning it up because D. Scott just blew his nose outside of our padded studio when it came in. It was impressive. That's a good way to end this podcast. A good way to end this podcast. We'll have the Overtime podcast for you on Friday, and it's going to be a really good one. I promise you. Because we're going to record it right now, and I think I had a stroke during this podcast. I wish I was joking.
You've been listening to the Power Cat Questions podcast, presented by Fridge Wholesale Liquor. Power Cat Podcast. All rights reserved. GoPowerCat.com and Spirit Street Publishing.
Call It What You Want is a brand new podcast part of the CBS Sports Golazo Network covering every angle of the United States men's national team. I'm Jimmy Conrad, and I'll be joining Jesse Marsh and Charlie Davies every week for a passionate, informed, and unapologetic conversation about all things U.S. men's national team, like tactics, American players home and abroad, match previews and recaps, interviews, and more. As our boys get set to compete for hardware in the CONCACAF Nations League Finals, the Olympics, and the Copa America in 2024, Call It What You Want will be along for the ride to provide expert analysis and unfiltered opinions, so fasten your seatbelts. And don't forget to download and follow on the Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts.